Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Warzone is, at this point, kind of running out of time. And when I say that, you might think, oh, does this mean the game is going away or something like that? No, Warzone is definitely around for the long haul. It's Call of Duty's sort of main draw right now, whether you like it or not. That's just kind of the case. It by far has the largest player base out of the core modes that Call of Duty currently entertains, I guess is the good way to put it. But with that, Warzone is currently in a very odd state, or sort of awkward place, because it's coming up on its third year, or its third integration of the Warzone 2 era. Let's refer to it as that. Obviously launched with MW2, we got the MW3 integration this year, and then coming up we are going to see the Black Ops 6 integration this fall / this winter. So essentially a repeat scenario of where we were back in Warzone 1. Launched with MW 2019, then we had the Cold War integration, then the Vanguard integration, and at that point they were like, okay, game is a little bit too bloated right now, there's too much going on. Full reset for Warzone 2. We're starting from scratch. Obviously, Warzone 2 was supposed to be an upgrade. We know that it was not that. Thank you, Infinity Ward. But regardless, that's just kind of how things played out. Now, there's been a lot of talk lately about Warzone's future of content, with carry forward between every new COD that drops, and when an eventual reset and full wipe could be happening that ends up deleting all of your weapons, your operators, your store bundles, your camos, so on and so forth. And that's sort of what I wanted to focus on today, sort of outline some expectations and then also some possibilities as to what we could see happen just in general, as this continues to be a, pretty common topic every single year with Warzone now. So as mentioned, Black Ops 6 is going to be the third game in this Warzone era, very similar to Warzone 1. And back then, that's when they called it, okay, we got to stop with just the constant bloat, a gazillion weapons, a bunch of attachments, and quite frankly, it might be even more bloated now considering how they go about adding in attachments where there's, 95 optics, but only 6 of them are actually like used amongst the community, or a ton of guns, a ton of operators, even though we have several of the same operators now, and that's only growing more and more and more year over year. It's going to happen again with Black Ops 6, where we see all the launch weapons added in, all of those operators added in, new seasonal content, new weapon system, everything like that is going to be once again adding to that sort of bloat. So the question's got to be raised, how long until we see another major reset happen in Warzone? And this is where the idea of time is sort of running out comes into play, because even though Warzone now is built to handle integrations more than Warzone 1 was, obviously, we're still at this point where there is just so much content. And while it's cool to have this many options, like one day you could use an MW2 gun and have some fun with that, then the next day you could mess around, further on down the road with a Black Ops 6 gun, and then an MW3 gun, and have all your different operators and all your different skins and everything. That's cool, and I really do enjoy that element of it, but so much of the content we have in the game right now just is not relevant. When you're talking what the core gameplay loop is for Warzone, it's all about the weapons, honestly, and whatever the current game is, MW3, Black Ops 6, that's the meta. Those are the guns that they focus on the most. Those are the guns they promote with their weapon buffs and their weapon nerfs. Older guns from older games fall out of the meta very quickly, and then they're just long forgotten, right? And with that, it's just adding to the bloat with things that players aren't really using. Like I said, sure, you could mess around with a Bison from MW2 and have fun with it, but realistically, the vast majority of players are not looking towards those older weapons, those, long forgotten, underwhelming, not meta options here, not even competitive options. So that adds to the bloat. Operator skins, when they start doing all the new ones for the new Black Cell upgrades and the new battle passes and the new store bundles, the older ones are still there, and it's cool that you can go back to them, but you're constantly rotating older ones out of your rotation. So at some point, there is going to be another reset, and this bloat that we've got going on in game is going to be combated. It's just a matter of when, though. And the thing with Warzone 1 is that it was very obvious when it was going to happen because of engine upgrades. Modern Warfare 2022 was coming out, a whole new engine upgrade was coming with it. Still the original Warzone 1 engine, just with a lot of improvements and upgrades stacked on top of it, or various different enhancements. I'm sure those terms might be subjective to some of you, but they were building off the old engine to try and make it better and more more seamless for all the future Call of Duty titles on the COD HQ, of course. So it was obvious for Warzone 1. The thing is, though, now with Warzone 2, or just Warzone, whatever you want to refer to it as, is that it's built for the long term. Every Call of Duty title that we're seeing drop is being built off the same core engine. So Black Ops 6, same engine as MW2, just with a few more upgrades and improvements and their own tweaks to how they want gameplay to feel. Call of Duty 2025 is that rumored Black Ops 2 sort of remaster or reimagination that's going to be built off the same engine as well. And then we get into COD 2026. That's another Infinity Ward title. We're not sure, but we can assume that's probably going to be same engine. 2027, maybe a Sledgehammer title, same engine. Obviously, we're not going to go another Call of Duty and then another Call of Duty and then another Call of Duty and add all of that into Warzone and just have all of that content available. Can you imagine in COD 2025, the Black Ops 2 remaster, we're seeing patch notes for, hey, we've adjusted the Modern Warfare 2 Vel 46 damage range by 4 meters. Like, that's just not going to be a thing. So that's why things this time around are a bit more tricky, because you have to make a decision at some point. Okay, there's too much. We've got to change this in some way, but how do you go about that? Well, there's a few things that I think factor into this. At what point does too much content in the game outweigh the value of yearly content? Because just like with Warzone 1, when they announced everything was being reset for Warzone 2, players were not happy. We were all under the impression, myself included, that all the content that we had in Warzone 1, all those operators, the mastery camos, everything like that, it was going to be in Warzone forever. It was going to be the long-term content that we had available, and then Warzone 2 drops, deletes it all. Players were not happy. And so that time coming again sort of already decentivizes buying things in the store and spending real money on the black sell and doing all these mastery camos, knowing that at some point down the road, that could all be wiped away with the snap of a finger and the new reset and, upgrade or slash update for Warzone going forward. So maybe it's not something that's like year over year. Maybe it's something more similar. And I saw a lot of you guys talking about this when I initially brought this up a few weeks back, saying, well, what if in Warzone, instead of there being like a full reset, let's say every 3 or 4 years, there's an engine upgrade or an engine change and everything gets wiped. What if it's instead just whatever game is 3 years outdated now? So let's say, for instance, we're in, COD 2024 now with Black Ops 6. That'll be 3 CODs in one iteration of Warzone. Then when COD 2025 comes around, well, all the MW2 content is then vaulted and pushed away. And then when COD 2026 comes around, all of the MW3 content is vaulted and pushed away. So basically, like, every game that's turning 3 years old when the new integration comes out, that content is then vaulted and taken out of the game to avoid that bloat. I think that could be a viable solution, and it's sort of extending the lifespan of a lot of the content from those games rather than just on a year-to-year basis saying, is the carryover actually going to happen this time around? Should I be concerned? Should I invest in anything here? So there are definitely alternative ways to go about this, and a lot of them are viable, but really all that matters and what probably is going to really impact the final decision and the final way that things end up playing out the most is how it affects the business side of Activision and Xbox and Call of Duty as a franchise. Because a lot of other suggestions that I know you guys have been talking about, and we've raised the question on the channel in the past as well, is what if Warzone was standalone? Obviously, every year we've come to expect the new Call of Duty, whether it's MW2, MW3, Black Ops 6, Advanced Warfare 2, whatever the case is, we've come to expect it's going to integrate into Warzone, and all that multiplayer content will be available there. And again, I like that. I like seeing the fresh new stuff in Warzone. It adds in something to look forward to every year. But you look at games like Fortnite, it's a standalone title. Now, obviously, it doesn't have a premium franchise sort of coexisting with it like Call of Duty does, but it's continuously seeing updates on updates and updates, and season after season after season, new things are added in, and so much stuff from the original, seasons when it first began is still available. Things from your locker, all the skins and stuff that you bought, while they do change gameplay features and vault those or add in new ones or then re-add in old things over time, your core content is not ever under fire. It's not under any threat of being removed. So if Warzone were to go standalone, that could be a thing that actually makes all the content in Warzone a lot more valuable. However, that then might also devalue Call of Duty multiplayer, because let's face it, personally, I'm a fan of COD multiplayer. I will play it every year because I like it. I think it's a ton of fun. I like the Call of Duty campaigns. I think the story is awesome, and it's a lot of fun to sort of explore what they're doing every year with the lore. Zombies, most years, is pretty fun as well, and I find myself spending a lot of time on that. But, and it's an objective truth at this point, for so many players, we're talking millions and millions of players, multiplayer, or the premium title for Call of Duty, is simply bought to be used as a weapon level simulator or a weapon level speedrunner, so you can level up your stuff for Warzone, get all the guns, all the attachments, all the camos, all the operators, and then have that to use in Warzone. They're not playing it because it's just purely the multiplayer experience. Now, there's also millions and millions of players playing it for that, but whatever they can do that optimizes their earnings and gets the most out of the vast majority of the player base is what they're going to do. So Warzone as a standalone title then makes it so that, oh, okay, if this stuff from multiplayer is not a part of Warzone, well, I don't really need to focus all that much on the multiplayer or on the premium title, so maybe they don't buy it, and then that's costing COD money. Or their retention numbers season over season on the premium title dwindle because there's no incentive for Warzone players to really pay attention to that stuff. So they're between a rock and a hard place here. As I talked about before with the idea of Black Ops 6 carryover not being a thing for premium, but maybe being a thing for Warzone, regardless of how they play things out here, it's going to upset a large chunk of players. If they keep adding more and more to the game, it gets bloated. Players aren't a fan of that. If they remove things from the game and they vault and delete things, the players who spent money or spent time unlocking that stuff are not happy with that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Call of Duty approaches this, because time is running out. They're gonna have to make a decision here in the decently near future, all things considered, and I am very curious about what that decision is going to be. Obviously, as we get any official news or any official info here, I'll be sure to keep you guys in the loop, so stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in COD by hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. It's always really appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.